On today's show,
The Daredevil finale has concluded. Our thoughts on that and the season.
and we recap an awesome Star Wars celebration, breaking down all the announcements.
All that and more on BCFM.
Welcome back to BCFM, the Beyond Coruscant podcast. Thank you for joining us. You are live with Jack and Cooper. Make sure to follow us at Beyond Coruscant on our socials. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Big thank you to everyone who helped us surpass 600 subscribers. We are ultimately going for the big 1K this year, so please do your part. Help us out. We've got a lot of awesome content. Andor's coming out next week.
Exciting.
Tuning in, breaking down all of those episodes, so you don't want to miss out. The only way to stay connected is by hitting subscribe. So today we're going to chat about, obviously, the Star Wars celebration, but we're going to begin with the finale of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. And
Yeah.
Jack, I want you to go straight into it because I know this is obviously something that you've been up and down about the whole season.
So obviously with last week's pod, I talked about the season as a whole, and my thoughts for that was it's going to stay like that probably rating, and I knew this week's episode would be better, and in my opinion, it was. I had a great time with it. I did have a few still minor things with it, but I think a lot of after some time sitting on it, I think a lot of people have had the similar type of opinions on it. I think there's a unanimous kind of agreement on certain things, and somewhere they're a bit like, really? Was that it? So personally, I thought this was a good finale. However, it is what I assumed it would be. It actually got me more excited for season 2 than concluding this season as a whole. And this is where I'm going back to why did this get split up into season 1 and season 2? It should have just been almost like an 18 episode, and this is like your finale of the halfway point. Because it would have been such a great hype thing to even have like a month or something in between before releasing the next part. And then you go, yeah, I'm ready to finish off this one complete season. Because they end it on a banger. And I think it doesn't feel as rewarded because it didn't really build up for Fisk being the main villain of this show. Because the first half of it was really still Muse. And then that kind of got concluded in 2 seconds. So now it kind of like, it's a bit janky as a whole, I think. And like, there was definitely elements from all of this that were amazing. But personally, this episode kind of brought it back to the focus of what it should have been to begin with. And I think that's really good. And it does have that kind of continuity, which is very much more smoother transition kind of from like episode 1, 7, 8 and 9. And you can kind of tell, especially with the Punisher showing up and everything, and the Punisher scenes were great and the conversations are always great. The music cue when he came into the apartment, I loved Fisk finally becoming that kind of mayor kingpin, like they were indicating. His kill was absolutely brutal, absolutely crazy. So I think that kind of insinuates that he does have the strength that he kind of did in like Hawkeye show, where he like could rip off a door and kind of tank some hits. So I guess we're getting that because a regular person probably still couldn't do what he did. So I guess he does have that increased strength. Heather is still as annoying as ever. Like, yes, bring Karen back. Come on. But ultimately, I'll let you go into all the positives about it because I know you want to talk about it. But I'm going to finish off quickly. I really didn't like how he goes, yeah, we're going to build a team. And then it shows up and you have this emotional moment between Karen and Daredevil and Matt, and you're like, yeah, this is great. He puts on his mask. He's ready to like face kind of the crime and take down the task force. He enters the Josie's bar. You see Josie, yeah, fair enough. You know, good gathering place. And then you see the team he's assembled. Now, we've got Cherry. We've got the detective lady from the Irish bank heist. Then you've got some random ass cops that I don't think you've ever seen before. And then you've got the goat Karen. So I honestly don't think that that's going to stay as that because I don't know, Cooper, have you seen some behind the scenes of season 2 already?
I've only seen one shot and it's of Karen wearing like a red wig or something.
All right, so I won't mention it, but there is a thing floating around with an image with Daredevil and someone else in his new suit, which looks absolutely fire, by the way.
The black one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so I can't wait. But he's standing with someone. And that didn't make sense because I saw this before the finale. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So, but now after seeing this, I'm like, okay, so he will probably end up having the help of actual superhero beings or like more like skilled people than just a regular cop or detective or something. But it felt a bit anticlimactic where it was like, oh, let's band together a team in like the prior conversation. We cut to the bar. He's going to open the door. Oh, maybe at least see like Jessica Jones at the bar sinking a shot or Luke Cage. You don't need people like Spider-Man, Moon Knight. Yes, that would have been amazing, but let's be realistic here. They're never going to get the Spider-Man rights. And Moon Knight is kind of being shelved, I feel like, at this point in time. So even just to see some of the Netflix defenders there would have just been a lot more rewarding and would have felt like a bit more of a finale. I was watching it with someone the second time. I watched it twice in like the same day. And at the end of it, she was like, "Whoa, was that it?" And I was kind of like, "Hmm." Because when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is great, great finale." And then after watching it a second time, when she goes, "Oh, is that it?" I'm like, "Oh, you're right. There actually wasn't really much towards the end there. It was more just Frank going to town on the people, and then you were more worried about where Frank was, and that post credit scene was nuts. Like,
Mm.
also, I know they adore Punisher. Why did they even get close to him? You would just not, because you know that he doesn't agree with your. Seeing Taskmaster, Swordmaster, Swordsman or whatever, chilling in there was hilarious too. I thought. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of other nobodies in that cage, but it would have been cool to see maybe even the Iron Fist or
Mm.
like not like all of them, but like even one of them to just show that they are still in this time.
Hmm.
And I know I've been on a bit of a rant here, but might as well conclude it here. Um, the power outage. Now, this is the biggest issue where it comes with this tying into the MCU. Was everyone just having a snooze? Like, was Spider-Man just
Yeah.
like, like, how does that happen in New York? Like, and no one else really. You have like, I know you can't get the rights and stuff, but even a reaction or just, I don't think the MCU is ever going to mention that. By the way, like ever again. Like, I know it wasn't that big, but like a lot of crime and vigilanteism and stuff was happening. You would have thought you would have had a bigger kind of repercussion from that. And I think that's where it kind of falls down a bit for me. And the introduction was goaded with Dex. Seeing Dex in the flash in the past was great. I thought we were going to get a lot more of a focus on Dex. Kind of was disappointed about that a bit. Sorry, excuse me. But I think with what I saw in the behind the scenes, we are going to obviously get some more Dex and stuff. But yeah, I was kind of hoping for like a massive fight between Dex, Daredevil, and Punisher, even or something like crazy like that. But in the end, it was really just Punisher and Daredevil going to town on easy cops, I guess, which you could say, or easy like anti-vigilante task force, which is good because you can go kind of brutal on them. And I know they said Daredevil's injured, partially injured, that's why and everything. But it did feel a bit anticlimactic, I think, in my opinion. And I think it didn't succeed as much as it could have because of the prior stuff we got. And I know people have been glazing the show, but I think they're going to look back at it during this time off between season 1 and 2 and realize that it was a bit messy and it didn't have that much of a clear. Like, I'm not saying that every episode was bad. There was a lot of great in every. I think every episode had something really good to take away from, and something that had a like even the heist one didn't have much plot relevance, but it was fun, entertaining, and it showed you kind of the Irish gang a bit more, and Matt kind of interacting, trying to be Daredevil, but not as Daredevil.
Hmm.
And I think that's really good. The show's done really well at that. Cinematography could be a bit better and the CGI could be a bit better. But other than that, I think season 2 is set up to be really good. And I think if they flop really hard with this, then I don't know what's going to be for Daredevil because they cannot, with this setup, it's like setting up an alley-oop, linking to basketball. You can't like mess this up. Like you have the best setup and assist of all time almost. Like they can't F it up, I guess you could say now. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I think the episode alone as a rating was definitely a 9 out of 10. I think that one whole one missing is those kind of minor plot kind of things, which I could get lowered to an 8.5, I guess you could say. But seeing Frank in action, seeing Daredevil in action, and seeing actually repercussions of their actions and Fist turning into Kingpin properly, I think was too good to, kind of whittle the rating down. But there is a lot of things in there that I think needs to be a bit more tweaked upon. But overall, I had a great time. It was definitely my favorite one of the whole season, of course. I think that's because I'm a big Punisher fan, so I got to see him in action. So that tops a cake, I guess you can say for me.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Very good. Um, I have had a lot of time to think about this
Mm.
because when I first watched it and then kind of got to the finale, I'm like, oh, wait, that was it?
That was it.
That was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, I can appreciate it a bit more now.
Mm.
And going into season 2, I kind of understand what it's all set up pretty
Yeah.
much. The best way I can describe this episode is it's just things happening.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
clearly it's just things happening in setup for season two.
Yeah.
And I was gonna make a comment when you were talking
Mm.
about the ending,
Mm.
but I'm gonna make it now.
Go into it. Yeah.
I agree with you. That was the
Mm.
perfect opportunity to have a defender, someone,
Hmm.
because it was set up that way.
Oh
It was
yeah.
set up to have someone important or a couple of
Mm.
important people there. And then it was just like, oh yeah, there's that chick from the detective from that episode. Oh yeah, there's Cherry. Oh, there's Karen. Yeah, we know
Yeah,
Karen, but that's it.
yeah, that was it.
Like, it was just weird. Um, in terms of the threat moving forward, obviously, I think
Mm.
it's going to be the anti-vigilante task force or whatever.
Big words. Yeah.
Yeah, big worded thing it is. I don't think that's a bad thing because clearly Punisher
Mm.
had a hard time going against them and lost
Hmm.
to them. So I was a little bit worried about how that would end up because I thought it might just be a bit too easy in the end.
Mm.
No, it seems like it could be a bit like these guys have nothing to lose. They're um, enforcers of the law of Fisk's
Mm.
law,
Yeah.
and they have a common ideology to Fisk. So it's like mini Fisks running around pretty much,
I've
which is
I've got a question for you, Cooper,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
about that thing.
Mhm,
Want to say this before I forget it.
mhm.
They did you feel that it was a bit what's the word, forced almost, or like come out of left field, I guess you could say, that the reason when we were talking about it, oh, the task force didn't feel that big with those kind of guys, that now all of a sudden they just have like almost the whole city's
Yeah,
task force. Where'd
yeah.
that come from?
I don't know. It was kind of weird, and I wonder if maybe that's. I feel like maybe in the season, if we'd seen more of that enlistment process, it would have been
Yeah,
cool. But it kind of
there's like
happened
six of them.
so late in the game, like
Mm.
episode 6 or 7 or something.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I mean, they are just henchmen at the end of the
Mm.
day, so they are going to be able to be taken down, and there's not
Fodder.
really standouts in there. Like Muse as a villain is a standout.
Mm.
The task force as villains? Nah, it's
No.
like the Chitauri. Like
Yeah, just
it's
cannon
like
fodder.
Avengers. The Chitauri are the army, they're CGI army. This is not
Hmm.
CGI, but they're the disposable ones, and then
Hmm.
Loki's the main guy. So it's
Yeah.
Fisk is the main guy.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole episode, I'm still a bit on the fence. I think it was a
Mm.
good episode,
Mm.
obviously.
Mm.
The blackout really confused me. I don't even know how that happened in the first
Oh,
place.
yes, actually, going to help you solve this.
Yeah.
It was such a throwaway, minor thing. I watched it the second time and then I realized, I'm like, damn, that's how it happened. Because the first time watching it, I was like, how did this happen?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's when, oh crap, I forgot her name. The girl who ratted out the,
Oh yeah, Commissioner. Yeah, yeah, I know who
yeah,
you're talking about.
he
Yep.
goes, send in the Con Ed guy after on your way out. Construction education guy who was waiting outside Fisk's room when she came out, and
Oh
before
yes.
they,
Yep.
it must have been him that had somehow power access to the whole city,
That's
the
true, but that is
construction
so
boom.
throwaway. They should have
It's
made
a
it a bit more.
throwaway. And then that's when Buck, and then when it timed out, I'm like, how did this happen? And then I
Yeah.
realized the second time he said Con Ed, so construction education, oh, construction, not education, construction ed something. It's like, what the hell? How does he have
Yeah.
access to wipe out the entire city grid, basically? Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was just so
crazy.
confused. I did think also the I'm gonna use a word that you used that I don't think is a word, vigilanteism
Vigilanteism, hell yes.
that was happening during that blackout with the riots and
Mm.
the looting and stuff.
Raids, yeah.
It was cool and the cinematography was okay, but it also felt just so out of left field, like it just came
Mm.
from nowhere.
Yeah.
We have
Hmm.
not had New York be like that before. I know it's
Mm.
trying to establish the times and everything and the life under Fisk's regime, but
Yep.
we haven't had any lead up to
No
the
build up.
citizens of New York being like that. So
On the
it
edge,
felt so
yeah.
strange. And that's what I mean where I'm still on the fence about this episode. Because
On its own, it's
narratively, yes, it
fun.
wasn't really there.
Yeah.
It looked great and the writing was great and some great action.
Mm.
But in general, it just didn't really make a lot of sense.
No. Hmm.
So, and I know the directors were trying to pick up the pieces of
Yeah.
The Disney mess from before. I
Mm.
understand that, and probably got a lot to work with that they didn't want to have.
Hmm.
And I'm guessing that there will be some characters and some ideas that just get thrown out the window straight away at the start of season two because they're just not relevant or what they want to use.
Detective from the bank heist.
No, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking of. So
Yeah.
yeah, look, at the end of the day. I think about the show as a whole. I know you
Mm.
said you'd probably give it a 7.5. I would
Mm.
probably give it a 7.5 as well now that I think about it.
Mm.
Because we got some really good moments in the season. Muse
Mm,
being disposed of so easily really frustrated me.
mm,
Um, Getting the Punisher and Karen back is cool, and we got
mm.
some really cool new characters. I
Yeah,
think Buck is a very cool
that's
character.
cool.
I
Mm,
think Daniel is a
yep,
really cool character.
yep.
Um, and as much as I'm a bit rusty on my Daredevil knowledge from Netflix, was the commissioner, police commissioner, in the
I
first
don't
couple
think
seasons?
so, but he was quite cool, wasn't
He
he?
was.
I
I
liked
was
him.
rooting for him. I
Gallo.
was
Yeah.
rooting for him. I was rooting for
Mm,
Gallo. And
mm.
when obviously that scene happened with Fisk, I was heartbreaking.
I was so annoyed. Yeah.
He knew he was in trouble, and that was it reminded me of something like from The Boys.
Mm,
That's
mm,
something
mm.
Homelander would do.
Yep.
That's something Homelander has done.
Has done.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was tragic, and now for BB,
Yep.
that's a link lost.
That's probably another reason for her to step in finally and
Yes,
actually do
investigate.
something now, not be like in the shadows, kind of.
Actually, was BB in the room with the others
Which one?
at the
It,
end with Daredevil?
no, I don't think so.
Right.
But that's another thing though too. Like with oh damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn, it just left my brain. Oh damn it.
That's all right. So let me ask you a question. Would you still keep this series at a 7.5 out of 10?
Oh yes,
Yeah, okay.
100%. Yeah, I just think it's too bit all over the place, and yeah, even if music somehow comes back in the second one, I just feel like it's a very people's ideas all over the shop, not really one unique, and I think that's my overall problem with it.
Hmm.
But then you do have some interesting characters, and I think Heather is as much as I don't really like her character, I think she might be getting set up to be kind of like a I don't know how do I say it? Not like a scapegoat, but
Double
like
agent? No,
yeah,
not double agent.
more like seeing someone close to Matt actually get persuaded by the enemy rather than like going against them. Like because
Yeah.
you always usually see a whole, Matt talk to someone, oh, he's actually corrupt, and then they go, oh no no no, and then they see something, and then they're like, oh
Mm,
yes, I agree with you. But like it
mm.
seems like she's going full throttle, kind of, you know, with kind of Fisk in that sense. So it's going to be interesting to see that kind of um what's it called?
Dynamic.
Dynamic, yeah, because we don't really know where they're left off. Are they just not together anymore, or
That's it.
like we don't really know about that either? So,
That would be kind of a dog move, though, in all
oh,
honesty. Like,
100%. After him being so, yeah,
yeah,
like avid against them, and then goes to be his mental health leader or whatever it was. Yeah,
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
crazy.
Crazy. All right, so Daredevil Born Again. Obviously, we've covered a lot on the podcast,
Whole
and
lot,
we're
yeah,
finally at the end. So, what are we going to talk about now?
yeah.
My
No,
goodness, we're out.
damn,
So, the next Marvel project coming out is Thunderbolts. The next
exciting.
Marvel series coming out. Do you want to take a guess?
Yes, I think it's Ironheart.
It is Ironheart.
No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna give it a shot.
We'll give it a shot. I forgot, I always forget his name. Aldrin, whatever his
Oh
last name
yeah,
is.
Han
Yeah,
Solo.
guy who plays Han Solo. He's in it. So I'll watch for him, and that's it.
And then the other guy who's in like everything nowadays, Twisters and new Transformers, he's playing the Hood. I think the main
Oh,
villain of
okay.
Ironheart.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Mm, yeah.
that'll be. I'm not going to even use the word interesting. It might be
It,
awful.
yeah, who knows? It's really well, we haven't even got much footage from it. You just get like snippets within like TV spots, and then it's like, oh,
They haven't
okay.
had a trailer for it yet, and it comes out in like 2 months.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy. They must be not really happy with it.
No, well, clearly
Mm.
they. I think yeah, it's.
I
Anyway,
don't think
let's
it's
move on
gonna
from
happen.
Ironheart.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Ironheart. Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
This was a 3-day event held in Tokyo this year.
Mm,
We haven't had Star Wars Celebration for 2 years. The last one was in 2023. I can't remember where it was. It was
not
in
sure.
Europe, I'm pretty sure, somewhere in Europe.
Hmm.
Anyway, that doesn't matter. Great to have it back. Thank you to everyone who checked out the day one live stream. We got a couple of cool announcements in that one, and we'll obviously discuss all of
Yeah.
those now. But Jack, overall thoughts on Star Wars Celebration before we get into the separate
Yeah.
announcements?
Look, I mean, you did say something to me before we started recording, which I think has probably enlightened me a bit more. Like, I feel like with the announcements that we've gotten, we either have or had them already kind of potentially leaked. We already knew Ryan Gosling was going to be in a Star Wars movie with Shawnlevy. So yes, I guess we got a bit more details on the title, when it's set, and maybe the overall premise of it. They kind of hinted at it, but I don't know. It's still a bit under, what's the word? Like, a bit
Under the
more
rug.
under the rug. Yeah, we don't really know much about it. And then they really just basically announced stuff we already knew and showed. actors and stuff that we've seen on Star Wars Celebration for so many times now that it's kind of losing, in my opinion, its like excitement and surprise, I guess, with it. And yeah, I mean, the mall announcement was cool, but I already heard about that, and everyone thought it was going to be about what's it called? Oh man, I'm blanking so hard today. I'm blank. Son of Dathomir
Oh
run
yeah.
of Darth Maul, but now they're gonna set it after Rebels, or no, after
No,
Clone
no, no.
Wars,
That's
after
fine.
Clone Wars season 7. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, it looks like they're bringing talent into canon, but this is my issue with bringing characters in from Legends into canon. They're in such a minor time frame within the larger grand scheme of things, meaning that this character probably won't last. This
Mm-mm.
character will probably end up perishing, and it's kind of like, well, what's the point? And this is my issue with Ahsoka and Maul in particular. I feel like they're in almost everything now that they're almost getting too maybe overdeveloped because they're almost in everything. It makes
Mm.
it feel like the galaxy is quite small because you're following the same characters throughout generations now. We've had Maul and Ahsoka through Clone Wars, Rebels, spin-off with Han Solo with Maul there, Ahsoka's own TV show now set in the Mandalorian time. And I don't know, it's just there's a lot of like them showing up, and I'm not gonna like rag on it because it looks sick. And Maul is such a good character. The animation almost looks real esque, like it looks a bit more. I think the environments look a bit more real while the characters look a bit more animated. I think that's how they're
Mhm.
going with it, which I think is really cool because obviously it's not really released the footage, but people like to show it. So I think we got some glimpses of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And Mandalorian and Grogu, we already had a. So we don't actually have a trailer on YouTube for it, but they already showed a trailer for it at D23, which looked a bit janky with the CGI and kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then after, between that period, we got announced kind of the plot with Jeremy White Allen as Rotto the Hutt. And then
Hmm.
apparently Ember is going to be the villain, and it's going to be like basically just another snatch and grab like mission for him, basically. And it's just like, what? Like, why
Yeah.
do that? And then we got more photos of them in that movie, and it's like, yeah, cool, but how is that meant to be a solo movie? Like, if you're doing a movie, you must have a stronger idea. In my opinion, the Ahsoka TV season 1 would have been a much better condensed into a movie. You could have cut out all the, filler stuff and just focus on the main story at hand. And well, branching into Ahsoka, we got the first photo of I forgot his name, who's
Rory McCann.
Rory McCann from Game of Thrones as Balin's Skull, and he looked really good. And I really hope he does him justice, and I think he will, and I think the show will, and I think he'll be honored. Ray Stevenson
Yep.
very, very fondly, and everyone is. I'm happy that everyone is remembering how good he was in the role, and I'm happy that people are happy to kind of see his story continue because it's such an interest. It was the most interesting part of that show, and it would have been such a shame to not kind of see it through. And
Mhm.
I'm really happy they're going that way. And Rosario did mention, yeah, Anakin's going to show up a bit more. He's going to be a bit more of a central kind of thing, and I think that was hinted at with the Force ghosts and stuff, and how they're trapped on that planet or galaxy too. And I think that might be a cool leeway for especially Ahsoka to how we kind of see her story conclude because we never got that. Like her voice is in the Rise of Skywalker, meaning she must be perished away
Yeah.
by that time. Could this be how she learns to become a Force ghost? Will she sacrifice herself in this upcoming like Thrawn war? Something like that. Something really cool. I think there is a lot of potential. And so Star Wars Celebration as a whole, I think is a bit meh. But the potential and stuff for the future, I think, could be increased. And I didn't actually mention what Cooper said before, which is probably why we didn't get too much. And I think it'd be only fair for you to probably give maybe a potential reason for why we haven't got new announcements, I guess you could say, or maybe
Oh,
waiting for a time.
yeah. So my reasoning was they're probably waiting for Kathy to leave, for her to get out, because if you think about it, back in 2020, we got all these announcements,
Yep.
and
Yep.
half of them
Yeah.
didn't even end up being developed.
Yep.
So they're probably just like, okay, let's put out a couple things that we know that we have developed and have been
Hmm.
in development, and we've got footage for, and we've got confirmation and voice
Mm.
actors, whatever.
Yep.
But let's just leave it at that. Let's wait till Kathy's gone, and then let's get in someone who's going to actually start announcing
Fresh.
projects
Mm.
and it has new ideas in their head and etc. etc. So it's probably just a let's Like Kathy, let's get her through this one last Star Wars celebration.
Yeah.
Let's
Her last one, hopefully.
let's
No, I'm
get her out
kidding.
the door, and then let's get someone in, and let's start again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's probably that. That's probably why we didn't get a lot of announcements,
I
and
agree. I agree.
the announcement we did get weren't groundbreaking, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll touch on the projects in a little bit. I just want to mention, so I was kind of all over X and Instagram the whole weekend, just seeing what was
Mm,
up. It seems like as much as everyone had a good time and enjoyed the event, there was a lot of issues, and this was not
mm.
on. It's not on the people who set up Star Wars Celebration. It's not on the fans. It's on the
No.
event people who coordinate everything. There was
Yeah.
too many people there. They sold too many tickets. There were people waiting hours and hours and hours to get
Hmm.
into the stage. If you weren't there early, you weren't going to get in. There were people waiting hours just
Yeah.
standing still, couldn't move, and they couldn't get
Hmm.
to their forums or their panels or whatever because they were just standing there. Um, so
Mm.
I've also saw a story on Facebook actually of a fan who was very harshly treated um, when doing a photo op with Hayden. Very, not by Hayden,
Mm.
but by a
Mm.
member of staff, and it was pretty
Mm.
bad to read about. So it's just things
Mm.
like that. Like it's their fault in the first place for selling so many tickets and making it such a stressful environment for everyone, I
All about the
suppose.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just there's no tolerance for that sort of behavior, and that's really disgraceful. And
Mm.
I think that unfortunately, for me at least, that story at least overshadows all the positives that came out of it, which is really a shame. But
Hmm.
anyway, beyond that, Star Wars Celebration is next. We've got another year's break. Next year, we're
Mm.
not getting one. 2027, it's in Los Angeles.
Mm.
I think right here, right now, we need to start a petition that 2029
Mm.
it is coming to Melbourne, Australia. We have the
Melbourne.
facilities, we have the fans, we've got it
That's true.
all. The tourism it would
Mm.
bring for the state.
Yeah.
Let's bring it here. It's
That
perfect.
will it will finally get us out of debt.
Don't give it to LA. LA's had enough of them. Give it to Melbourne,
Ah,
you know?
I feel
Leave it.
like we get so excluded amongst like candidacy
Well, it's because
as
we're so inconvenient. We're so far
we're
away
far
from
away, but landscape wise, accommodation, facilities wise, we are
we got
fine.
it. We
Yeah,
got
so
it.
it's very harsh to kind of see like America's kind of getting favored a lot,
Yeah.
especially well, even with like any sort of special like release of a Star Wars movie premieres and
Always
also
LA.
like even popcorn buckets. The first time we actually got one was like the Minecraft movie that wasn't just a regular like cup or like something with like just a movie on it. Like we get so stooged over here. Give us something cool.
So looking at the announcements that kind of came with Star
Mm.
Wars Celebration, I think obviously the first major one is Mandalorian and Grogu. That was,
Yeah.
I mean, we knew it was coming out. We'd seen a trailer for it. We got more casting
Hmm.
announcements, and I think it looks okay, except for
Mm.
obviously Rotter the Hutt, who looks absolutely, I
Ah.
don't use this word lightly, but despicable.
Massive.
Ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
No, no, we don't want that in Star
Mm.
Wars.
A muscly hut.
Muscly Hut. Never thought I'd say
Delicious.
the day. Anyway, and then obviously Starfighter. That was a cool announcement, but we don't
That was
obviously have
cool.
much to go
Mm.
off of yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
Isn't it set after Rise?
It is, which is exciting.
Yeah.
It's
Mm,
exciting to see
interesting.
something set outside of the Skywalker saga, but in the other direction now, instead
So,
of Acolyte direction.
yeah. I don't know if it's speculation or not, but apparently he might be carrying a lightsaber. I don't know if this is people talking about that, but it would make sense with a starfighter because like Jedi starfighters is typically what you kind of refer to.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to do another one of those. Oh, here's a mature father-like figure, and here's another young person that he needs to look after, or it's going to be like him, like what he's done in his old movie, where he's a car driver for like getaway criminals and stuff, and then yeah, he just goes around the galaxy
Maybe.
chauffeuring, but also getting into trouble, and he's a really good pilot. I don't know. We don't really know much, and that's the thing.
Yeah. And we'll have to wait and see. I think 2027 is the release date for that one, so yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be
Ryan's a good actor too, though, so I'm hoping that he will be good for this too.
cool. We kind of already touched on Maul's series and Ahsoka, and obviously Andor. We know. Oh, I will just say about Andor quickly. Apparently, they got
Mm.
shown the whole
Mm.
first episode at Star Wars Celebration.
What?
The whole first
I-
episode.
Is it short then? Maybe the runtime's
Well, that's
leaked,
what I
but
mean. It was an hour-long
not.
panel, but the episode
But you
supposedly
show
goes
an
for
episode.
50 something minutes. And then the only other thing is the new game Zero Company, which I think looks
Oh,
garbage. Turn-based.
really?
No, no, we don't need it. It looks like Star Wars Hunters all
It's just
over
another.
again. No. What's up with
Yeah.
Star Wars games recently? Outlaws, Hunters, and
I
now
don't
Zero
know.
Company. All over the place.
Isn't Outlaws also getting another DLC
Yeah, it
type
is.
thing?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh well.
Waiting for
Some
it to go
people
on
enjoy it.
$10
Some
and then I
people
might buy
enjoy
it.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Look, as
yeah.
someone who's played a little bit of it, it's not bad. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair
Anyway, that's
enough.
kind of all the announcement. We don't need to touch on Visions. That was we knew that was coming.
Oh yeah. Mm.
We knew that was coming.
But okay. So the interesting part is seeing that they got a whole episode of Andor season 2 on a 1 hour panel. So is it a shorter runtime or is it just like they're like, oh, we need more people to tune into the show, so let's give them an exciting part by giving them like the first episode of the 3 arc that we're going to get in coming up soon. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but I'm excited for it still. I'm excited for it still.
So
Mm.
am I. And it's only, well, it's day of recording, 2 days away.
2
2 days.
days.
2 days.
That's crazy.
Let's go. Oh
But
man.
it's going to go so fast with having 3 at a time.
It is. It
So
is. Yeah.
we'll see how we go.
We'll see how we go. All right, that will do us for this week. Thank you for checking out the podcast. Our next one will be all about Andor. You best believe
Oh, yeah.
we're excited. We hope you're excited, and we'll see you then.